Hello again. My name's David Wiggins, aka Halfpennyman. I've been quite a while where I've been writing again, and also a lot of extra work gone into this thing of making sure that it was all correct and everything. So here I am now. Okay, trying to make something of what I'm doing with my life since retiring. Um, Writing, obviously, I've now completed three novels, which I've got on my website. Anything that I do is I'm calling Halfpennyman and basing my sort of new career around that. And then I've also got my Facebook page and my Twitter and a website, and now of course the YouTube channel. So these are the things. Now, to get known, as I said to you before, it's a very difficult thing. It's networking is fine, but it's very extremely difficult, and of course time consuming. Um, so the idea would be to now concentrate not only on my website, um, halfpennyman.com, but also now on this YouTube channel, Halfpennyman. And in that in mind, I thought what I'd do is I'd come on and I would give you excerpts from some of my ebooks. Now, the ebooks are much shorter. They're just short stories, not in any form of paperback. They are on Kindle, Amazon, and I'd like to introduce you to them bit by bit, reading excerpts from them. I think that's a way that I can actually encourage people, you out there, to have a look at some of my work and see what you think. Now, Laugh Out Loud is a series of short comedy ebooks. So they range from anything from 4 pages, 5, up to 8, up to 10, up to 25. And they're because of the different stories at different lengths, and this is how it goes. This particular one I'm starting with you today is called Smasher Smith. Smasher Smith, and he's an elderly gentleman, and in his 80s, had a fairly sort of active life, but now, of course, into his retirement, and he's got a hearing aid, which is a bit dodgy at times, and he gets around with the aid of a walking stick, just to help him get a bit more sure-footed. But then again, he's a wealthy man. He's healthy and getting around the town. You know what I mean? And so here we go. It's Smasher Smith from the series of Laugh Out Loud. Smasher Smith lived on his own. Lived in a small one-bedroom flat in just a smallish town. And near to him was his grandson and his daughter-in-law. And they they sort of went round to see him every now and again, keep an eye on him, that sort of thing. But he was a bit of a sort of difficult man, to say the least, and of course he came across as a bit cantankerous, a bit bad-tempered. But it was just the frustrations of what he saw in the world. And to start the sort of story, his grandson comes round to see him. Grandad, he said, what are all these photos and medals and trophies that you have? And he said, that's when I used to be a boxer. Oh, I better go into better character. Which he's a sort of an edgy sort of bloke. And so I want to sort of give him a sort of thing. So let's try a bit of a Cockney accent. He's a bit of a geezer, a bit of a, Yeah, when I used to do a bit of boxing, he said. I used to do a bit of boxing every now and again, you know what I mean? When I was in the National Service. Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, right, he said. So, were you any good? Well, he said, they speak for themselves, don't they? If you get medals and you get trophies, you must have done some good. Yeah, yeah, he said, it's a long time ago. I don't want to talk about it now, he said, but it was a good time of my life. Oh, right, Grandad, he says. He was going to just mention that my mum reckons you're a bit of a bad-tempered old man, but he thought I wouldn't bother to mention that. So anyway, Grandad is off down the town. That's where he goes. He goes in as a stroll down the town, and he nips into a few of the shops, goes and gets his pension from the post office. He does a few things down the town, as he says, a general mooch around, and he enjoys himself, But anyway, on most occasions he calls into the card shop and he sees a guy in there. And the guy in him and the man that works in the card shop, they sort of put the world to right, and they're sort of frustrated. Let's put it that way, of all the things that are going on in this sort of crazy world of ours. Compared to their, what they see was that, they had, world wars. So they had something far more, difficult to endure. So we should all now be enjoying ourselves. We should be having a good time. So anyway, he nips into the town, and he goes in to see Stan. Stan's one of his mate. Cool, blimey, how are you, Stan? I'm all right, Tom, mate. What would you like today, eh? Nice pork chop or something like that? Nah, he says, got a nice little lamb cutlet. I'll do me the wheel to go for me supper. You know what I mean? Oh, cool, yeah, I've got one of them. No problem. How's things then, Smasher? Yeah, pretty good, Stan. Pretty good. Mind you, these people today, he says, all this woke business and there's no common sense, mate. I don't know what's going on. He said, they all need to do a bit of national service. I see where you're coming from. He says, cool, blimey, yeah. It'll do him a world of good, wouldn't it? Getting in the army, in the armed forces. Oh, yeah. He said, so anyway, he said, anyway, must go. Okay, Steve. He said, see you later. So there, Grandad starts walking on to him. And of course, this man comes up to him. He's a friendly sort of chap. And he goes, can you give me a light, mate? He says, you what? He says, can you give me a light, mate? He said, do you realise he says I'm over 80 years old? What do I want to fight you for? No. He says, no, not fight, light. I want a light, mate. He said, I've never been so insulted in all my life. He says, come up to me in broad blooming daylight, he says, and asking me for a fight. He said, God, 20 years ago, he said, I would have beat you to the ground. Anyway, with this said, Grandad get his stick, his walking stick, and he hits the guy, whack. Hits him on the shoulder, bam. Hits him on the whack. Hits him on his side, whack. Then straight between the legs, wallop. Whoa, the man is down on his knees, I tell you. And Grandad's looking down at him thinking, you should know better than talking to old people like that, you know what I mean? Cool, blimey, I'm off. And so, of course, Grandad nips up the road and he's enjoying himself. He's having a good time. But he just thinks that people are a bit crazy. Maybe he needs to get that hearing aid fixed, you know what I mean? Some new batteries might be a good idea. But anyway, off he goes. He's up the town, and he meets a group of guys, They meet in a local pub, the Dug and Duck. And they like it in there, but they call themselves the Red Brick Gang, and Red Brick is a road where the council depot is. And Grandad worked there for a good many years. In fact, 47 years. He worked at the council yard. It's just a long time, but I mean, he's got good memories. It's not, people did stay in their jobs in those days. They stayed a long time, They didn't go from one job to another like we do now. They sort of stuck with it. So, of course, reminiscing about the time down at Red Brick Road Depot was part of their life and part of their chats. But when he got back home, I mean, he'd be back in his little flat, and the grandson would come round and he'd say, "Hello, Grandad, how are you? Watching telly again?" "Cool," he said, "I'm watching this rubbish on the air all day. It's driving me nuts." And he said, "Why'd you shout at the telly so much, Grandad?" He said, "Well," he said, "they talk such rubbish, these days." He said, "I've got to tell them what I think, put them straight." He said, "No," and he said, "But Grandad," he said, "nobody will hear you. They can't hear you. They're on the TV." "I don't care," he said. "I must be able to tell them," he says, "because they're driving me absolutely crackers." He said, "Some of this rubbish they talk today, God blimey," he said, "I don't know they're born." So that was Grandad. The next day, of course, he's nipping off down the town. Of course, he's at the post office. He gets his pension from the post office. Goes down there, once a fortnight. But anyway, he's down there, and as he comes out of the post office, this guy stops him and he goes, "Excuse me, mate." He said, "Can you split me a tenner for the taxi?" And of course, going, "What'd you say?" He said, "Can you split me a tenner for the taxi?" "What do you mean, will I go and split a taxi for a tenner? What sort of bloke do you think I am?" He says, "What you talking about?" He said, "Well," he says, "I think you've been disgusting." He says, "Ask your mate to go and do something like that." I've lost the accent there a bit. Anyway, he said, "Cool, blimey, mate." He said, "You've got to be joking." And with that said, of course, Grandad gets his walking stick and he gives him a good wallop on the left arm, a good wallop on the right arm, you know. And then as the bike buckled up a bit, one in the poke in the guts with the walking stick. Oh, and Grandad walks over to the first taxi on the taxi rank, and he says to the guy that's standing there waiting for a fare, he said, "You see that guy over there?" He said, "Yeah, what about him, mate?" He says, "He just came up to me and he said he would give me a tenner to come up and spit at you." He said, "You what?" He said, "Yeah." He said, he'd give me a tenner to come up and spit at you. Cool, blimey. He said, "What's the matter with him?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "But it's him over there holding his guts where I've just given him a good hiding with my walking stick. I'll go and say to him," he says. So anyway, Grandad then nips off, and of course he's going down the town. It's all pretty much the same to him. He doesn't, yeah. And as he's getting in down towards to see Stan in the butcher's, which is for his usual chat to sort out the world and all the problems that they have, there's two young people there, and they're sort of standing at the side of the road, and they've got a little sort of little box that they're rattling at people to collect money, and they're collecting money for the local dog zone, Dogs Trust, I think it's called. So anyway, of course, these two young people, they happily jump out in front of old Grandad. "Hello, mister, would you like to keep a dog?" And of course, Grandad, "What you say? Would I like to kill a dog? What sort of talk is that?" No, I said, "No, keep a dog, not kill one." "I don't want to kill a dog. What do I want to kill a dog for? It's not what I want to do. Cool, blimey, are you going mad or something?" No, I don't think you understand. Are you deaf? Are you calling daft? No. He said, no. He said, what we want you to do, we want you to keep a dog, not kill it. He said, "You want me to what? Kill a dog and eat it? You're sick, you are. What's the matter with you?" Cool, blimey. And he said, "I'm going to have to say to you two," he said, "for coming up," he said, "insulting an old man like me." He said, in broad daylight, in the street, cold blimey. He's raising his stick up to give him a damn good seeing to. And Stan came out wondering what was all the fuss outside of his shop. "What's going on here?" said Stan. "Cool, blimey, what's up?" "Well, you smasher." And as he said this, of course, these two young people run across the other side of the road. He said, "Are you all right, Stan?" "Yeah," he says, "I'm all right." He says, them young scallywags over there," he said, "cool, blimey," he said, "they only wanted me to kill a dog." "You what?" He said, "Yeah, they wanted me to kill a dog and eat it." Cool, he said, "What are they coming to these days?" He said, "They call that fun, do they? Coming up to old people and asking them to kill a dog and eat it." Cool, blimey, he said, "I've never seen nothing like it." It needs some national service, they do. That's what you need. You need a bit of national service. Get a bit of backbone, that's what you need. Cool, blimey, hanging around all day asking people that. Cool. "Come on in," he said. "I'll get a seat from out the back." So, of course, Stan goes into the back and brings out a little chair, puts it down by the counter. "Sit yourself down," he says, "Stan. It must be a bit of a shock to you." "It was," he says, Stan. He said, "It was. You can't imagine the young people today. As I was telling you just the other day," he said, "you've got to do something with these youngsters." He said, they're full of all rubbish." He said, "They listen to the rubbish. They don't do things decent, do they? Now they don't know what a decent thing is." "Poor blimey," said Stan. "I don't know what you're saying." He said, "I don't know where the world's going to." So that was it. Stan sat there for a moment, just resting. Stan stood there for a moment, just resting, thinking, "Oh dear, what's going on?" So anyway, it's time to go. And he said, "Well, I've got to go, Stan." He said, "I can't sit around here all day." "Oh no," he said, "busy man like you." He said, "Going anywhere?" "No." I said, "We're going up to I'm going up to the Dog and Duck." He said, "And we're one of the gang, the Red Brick Gang, He said, "one of them's reached the grand age of 80. So we're having a bit of do up there, then. The sort of thing. A couple of pints, and then the landlady's going to put on some sandwiches and a few bags, a few little bowls of crisps and things like that. Just a thing as you see. Say happy birthday to the birthday boy." "Oh yeah, good on you then. Up, see you then." So anyway, he's nipping up the high street, old Stan. He's got a bit of a sprint on, he's thinking, looking forward to going up and seeing the lads. And this bloke comes out to him. He says, "Hello, mate." He says, "I don't suppose you could light us up." He said, "What?" He said, "Light us up." He says, "my cigarette." He said, "Oh," he said, "I ain't got time for you, mate." He said, "What do you mean? You put 'em up?" He said, I'm a pensioner, He said, No. He said, "Hang on a minute." He said, "No, I didn't say put 'em up." He said, "I said light 'em up. I want you to light me up. Light my cigarette, please, mate, if you got it." Oh, so you want me to put 'em up, do you? Said Sting. You flipping cheek, he said. Of all the nerve, he said, of all the things in my life, he said, and I walk up my own high street and I've got somebody asking me to put 'em up. He said, yeah, cheeky blighter. And with that, of course, he got his walking stick and he whacked him over the first shoulder and whacked him over the right shoulder. Cool, blimey. Then again, in the one to the left hand side, oof, one to the right hand side, whack. God, blimey. And then the coup de grace, straight in the short and curlies. Oh, the bloke was all doubled up on the pavement. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, like I say, the guy got up, looked at him, cursed him a little bit, and go, "Yeah, you stupid old man," and then run off down the street. Yeah, and left old Stan just standing there. And of course, loads of people come and say, especially the elderly, sort of, that were in the town at the time, coming up. You got the men and the women, and they're coming up and they say, "Was that man assaulting you?" Yeah, he wanted me to put him up. God, I said, what's that blipping X going on with this world today? Have you heard this? He said, this man here, this fine, upstanding gentleman here, that guy was accosting him in the broad daylight. Oh, God, you want to get the police. You don't want to let them get away with it, mate. And of course, they're getting a right throng of people now around him, I tell you. All saying this and all saying that and sort of putting the world to right. Oh, aren't they disgusting, in broad daylight. And I mean, look at him. He's an old man. It's disgusting, isn't it? Well, while he was saying this and saying that, of course, the granddad, he looked around and he thought, well, I may as well nip off to the pub. I don't think anybody will notice. So, of course, he just sneaked off and he made his way in. And, of course, he told all the guys down at the pub, all the Red Brick gang, and of course they all said, he was a good bloke for standing up to, a local thug, as they call it. And the landlady said that she was so admired by his bravery that he could have a free pint just like the birthday boy because Grandad thought that's good, free pint. Oh yeah, we're doing well here. So anyway, they were all there, and of course he give him a card. He got a card for his mate. Yeah, you got LXXX on the front of it, which is rather good, But anyway, they had a good time. They had a pint, and then had their sort of ham and cheese sandwiches, and then nibbled away through a few crisps, and had a really good day. And he got back to this flat later on, and of course, grandson came round. He said, "Mum wants to know if you'd like a bit of supper tonight." And he said, "Oh yes, that'd be very nice. Thank you very much." He says. He said, "Have you been down the town?" He said, "No." He said, "There's some rough stuff going on down that town." He said, "I don't know really what's going on." He said, "What's the matter with the young people today?" He said, I had trouble with," he said, with a man outside of the post office, and he wanted me to go and split at a taxi driver. What's the world coming to?" He said, "Oh, I don't really know." And then somebody wanted me to put him up at my age. He said, admittedly, 20 years ago, he said, I would have given him a good thrashing. He said, but, I'm an old man. He said, this is a terrible time. Terrible time. He said, what's going on? And of course, his grandson must have been sitting there thinking, well, you poor old chap, what's going on? But that's basically it. That's where I'm going to lead you and leave you with that. I hope you enjoy it. It's a nice little story, and there is others, and I will, bring you each uh, story as in turn as they go along. Because, like I say, I'm going to try to, encourage you to, look at my work, see that obviously, like I say, I have, um, you know, hopefully a talent of writing comedy. I enjoy comedy the most of the things. Oh, okay, we can all know that we like a good thriller and things like that. And I've mentioned before, I'm a very keen science fiction fan, but comedy was always my main choice. And now I don't think that there is a lot of comedy on the TV. It doesn't seem to be the thing. Or maybe they through political correctness and things like that, you can't say this and you can't do that, which is a shame because I mean, if comedy is meant for adults, then surely adults are meant to watch it and the adults can discern. You don't going to do the same for children. Children should have their sort of comedy and all other things gradually given to them so that they can build up an understanding of what certain comedy is: satire, sarcasm, innuendo. They've got to get to know what they are, and how you react to that. So that's why, like I say, for adults, it was always, something that you understood. But I do feel as though that we do need to cheer up. I know I've said this a few times to you. Now we're here down in Australia, that we've got a better frame of mind. Now, I'm not saying everybody can come to Australia, but believe me, they've got plenty of room down here. But I mean, it is that sort of thing, is it, where it's your frame of mind that I think that there are a few of us that would like to see improved. Uh, After the lockdowns and all that, that it is time now. We have got to put it behind us and move on. Get cheerful, get happy, care for each other. That's what it's all about, really. I think so, anyway. Well, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. This is David Wiggins, aka Halfpennyman, and I'll be with you again soon with another story. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. It's great, and I hope you enjoy it.